responsible for the collaboration with amateur archaeologists in my area, and that basically means that I take in a lot of metal detector finds because that's legal in Denmark to survey with metal detectors for amateurs. That means I see several thousand finds every year, most of them Viking or just 100 years before.
Lucky bastard.
Yeah, but a lot of the finds are very fragmented, so it can be a shitty job as well. The thing for those of you who know me, I think you are aware that I am very happy about buying silver and buying nice looking clothing as well. So parts of this presentation will be some sort of a paradox because I am the worst of all of the silver sinners. I've taken pictures for this presentation where you see into my chest of silver. So I own quite a lot of it, and based on that I think that it's okay that I am the one to tell you guys to stop wearing it. Yeah. The reason why I know a lot about jewelry is that, as I said before, I see a lot of artifacts every day. This is my key find, this is the face of the horn, and I would think because of that, I am one archaeologist in Denmark at the moment who knows most about the use of Viking silver and gold. So if you have any criticism, then just let me know and I'll slaughter you afterwards. So, not because of these three presentations that we've done so far, but because there is a tendency in the scene, the Viking scene in general. I'm very happy to see more groups have started to create better looking sets of personal gear, clothing, tents maybe even, and the camps are becoming better and better. And there seems to be some sort of common understanding of we need to develop the scene because at the moment, or just a few years ago, it has been going downwards. We've become dumber and dumber, and that's not how it should be. We should develop upwards, and we have the possibility to do so. But how do you say? In manner to keep moving upwards, we have to share our knowledge, and that is what I'm doing at the moment. But I really want to compliment the fact that it seems to be going upwards at the moment. Today, this is, as I said, my third presentation, and the thing is, every time that I do this, it's not necessarily me who should be doing so, but every time that I do this, I want to look into smaller and smaller details, because overall, as you develop your personal gear, you should also develop the smaller details. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Smaller details could be the use of jewelry especially. That's a hard word for me, sorry. So after today, I hope to start this idea, and I want you guys to spread it out. In general, if you agree with me, that people should stop wearing silver and gold, and maybe focus on the more authentic things instead. And there are, how do you say, there are other possibilities to look good. You don't have to wear tons of silver and gold and gilded stuff. You should focus on what's good instead. And how to do so, that, as I said, share your knowledge. But if you don't have anyone to share with, I would say use the sources. And books are the best, because most of the books out there has been read through and has been peer reviewed before publishing. That means someone else has looked into the facts. So everything you read was a fact when the book was written. Everything changes. Archaeology is, how do you say it? It's a dynamic scene. Our interpretations, they develop and they change year from year. That's how it is. But if you use your books, you should be some sort of safe grounds. The internet can be good, and the reason why I say it can is because there are sites like Pinterest that are not good. So when you research online, you have to be you have to use your critical sense. What is the right term? So, vær kritisk.
Yeah.
Is it correct?
Critical
You
thinking.
have to be critical against what you're reading. And if you are in doubt, please ask someone who knows. You can use me. You're welcome to text me, and I'll just answer as soon as I can. It's not everything that I know, but I do know where to find the facts. So use your network as well, but also be aware when using your network, it's not all of the old Vikings in our scene that are good at what they're doing. Actually, most of the old Vikings are shit. In it, you're perfect. No, I would say it like this: back in the days when I started being a part of the scene, I had a lot of people that were my idols, and I would simply just copy what they were doing. It was a simple approach. Many of new guys would do the same, looking at old people like me, maybe, or I don't know, any Sven. Sven is not good, but because all of Sven's clothing is too small. So just be aware that not all of the old Vikings are good at what they're doing. They may be good fighters, they may be good storytellers, they may be good at presenting our scene and being idols, but their knowledge, I would say,
It's a bit
slim to none, because they won't read the books. So after this presentation, I would like you to share this. Maybe that's my idea of a rule, and it's partly inspired by the German approach. When it comes to jewelry, in this specific presentation, if you don't have a source, then don't buy it or make it. I only buy stuff. I can't create stuff. And if you are in doubt, then don't use it. That's easy. Yeah?
Yeah.
Can we agree on that?
Yeah.
Then I want to move into the bad examples. And this is a photo. It's one of my bags of silver from home. And it's one of my bags because I have a bad habit of buying everything I see. And the reason for me to do so is because I want copies of the finds that we are finding in my area. Yeah.
Stop finding shit then.
Huh?
Stop finding shit.
It's not my finding, but I like having copies of everything we find, and it's a bad habit, I know. But the thing is, this is a very good presentation of what you would see at a Wednesday evening at Mosgard, a male Viking wearing. He would simply just wear arm rings, neck rings, wear finger rings, and he will simply just use way too much silver. A lot in this presentation is how do you say, is pointed towards the men because we are the bad ones in this specific topic.
Definitely.
If we are to look, I'm not a big fan of percents or how to statistics, but I tried to look into the finds that we found in my area of responsibility. And based on that, I would say less than 1% of the artifacts from the Viking era are made of gold. Less than 1%. It may only be 1.2%, maybe 1.3%, I don't know. And it's as I said, it's a dynamic thing. Less than 10%, it may only be 5%, and I can't say specifically because I'm not allowed to take out sample of the metals. So it's only my interpretation when I see them defined. That gives the basis of the idea that they are made of silver. They may be covered in white metal or something else, but somewhere between 5 and maximum 10% are made of silver. The rest, as we see it in the finds, is bronze. Yeah. So this means, alone based on this, I can cut to the conclusion: you should start wearing bronze. Huh? Yeah, I'll also present some other pieces of types of artifacts as well later. But based on what I see in my job, bronze is the thing you need to wear more. Any questions about this?
Hun siger, at Jim Lyngvild er for meget bud på det.
Jim Lyngvild, he
This is a kind of
When you say 1% gold, is that pure gold or is it gilded bronze?
No, that's when I say less than 1% of gold, that is a massive gold. Gilded bronze, and that's also one of my things later. Most of the bronze artifacts are actually gilded. Yeah. One question more.
You also can make bronze. They look like silver. Really, this one is also bronze, but it looks like silver. It's near close to silver. So can you see in poundings how it's bronze or silver?
No, that's the reason why I said I can't say for certain whether it's silver or some sort of other. We say legering. Alloy, yeah, alloy. So there is a uncertainty within these percentages that I'm presenting. It's just based on my immediate registrations.
Okay, so most of them you see is really bronze colored.
Yeah,
So
because
special yellow.
it's actually green. But yeah,
That's too easy.
it's green, but most of it, I'll also present it later, but most of it will wear signs of gilding or coloring in white metal. That could be silver and it could be tin. And I'll say later a bit more about this. So this is really what we need to see way less of. This is the Terslev horse from Zealand. And this is, how do you say, the use of the rings in general. They can be finger ring, arm rings, neck rings. I know you all know the pieces, the artifacts, because they are found in hoards, in masses, and that's all out of Scandinavia. They are everywhere, but they are only found in the hoards. You will never see an arm ring, a finger ring, or neck ring in a grave. So that means it was not a part of what you would wear in, how do you say, daily life.
There was money in the bank.
It is money in the bank actually, and when we find these pieces at excavation, they do not look like a ring. They are cut into smaller pieces within maybe half a gram, 1 gram, 10 grams. So they are money. They look nice, but they are money. Most of them. And that's even though we also see the use of rings used in the written sources. I know there are way more written sources, so I'm only presenting in general terms here. Yeah. The use of rings can be seen as something given from a king or a nobleman to his heir. Yeah. So that means that they would represent a relationship in general. They are not something you would wear if you didn't have a reason to. One moment. Yeah. These presents are described within the sources. So it's quite easy. We know that you exist. We also find them in hoards. But please be aware, we do not find them on the dead people. Yeah. And when we are at the markets, at the fairs, we want to represent some sort of the daily life, in my mind. Yeah.
Is that both male and female?
Yeah, they do not exist. Yeah, and beads and stuff. Yeah. One question.
But the arm rings for the hit persons, right, or the warriors, it will be a sign of in my book, it will be a sign of I'm under this ruler. I have been given a ring because I'm a good warrior.
Yeah.
And the reason I think you haven't found them on the dead people is because they've been stolen by those who killed them.
Yeah, that's one way to see it. Yeah, I see it when you find a nobleman's grave. You will find the sword. You will find the ring brooches and stuff.
Yeah.
You will find all of the jewelry that have a practical reason to use, as swords and weapons as well. You will never find those rings. It makes no sense. Why would you not give the dead people this ring?
Exactly.
So it's more. It's a more a money issue, and the use of the rings, in my interpretation, is they have the use of them seems to be some sort of ceremonial act.
Yeah.
And my latest research seems it seems like in many of the hoards, and I haven't published this yet. In many of the hoards, you will find 1 neck ring and 8 arm rings. So it has a symbolic meaning which relates to what's it called in English? The Draupnir, yeah. It's the one ring that makes
Draupnir,
yeah, that makes 8 new rings every 8 night or something like that. Yeah. So there seems to be some sort of symbolic issue in depositing the hoards, as well as you will deposit your relation to the king. Yeah, it's an interpretation that I am to present. So I may be slaughtered for this. Let's see. Yeah.
Well, if they are signs of spaces, it makes sense that if you're dead, it goes back to the man who gave it out, and then he can give it to a new, like a shared star. It's like a.
But why not? Why not all of the other kinds of presents? Why not the swords that's also given from the king?
Maybe there was so special that this goes to the next one.
Yeah, it's a possibility, of course.
The swords, I think it comes from the Bronze Age, where they bend the swords and they destroy them because the swords has magical powers.
Yeah, we see that in Iron Age as well. We also see that in the Viking Age.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So that's also it's a way to give the sword to the afterlife, really.
Yeah.
You kill it as well as the dead person.
What do you get?
He said, the sentence of the vessel, does that go for the cloak rings and the fork brooches, or is it only the jewelry you think we're not very?
No, it's whether the brooches for females are bronze as well. Yeah. It's gilded, and you may have some parts of it may be silver or covered in white metal. White metal is still either tin or silver, but it's hard to see what it is.
Because people are slow to destroy it.
Huh? Are you correct?
Exactly.
Yeah, we're not allowed to, but new technologies are being developed so we can do stuff. So it's also a matter of time, money. Thank you.
Do you think that this wearing of large amounts of rings is a fashion trend? Has it gone out of fashion by the Viking Age from an earlier period where perhaps wear the norm and you could wear these kinds of rings in bodies?
So you're thinking about the Bronze Age artifacts?
No, just the Iron Age. For example, the Roman Iron Age, with some claims with different kinds of jewelry.
Yeah, that's true. No, I don't see it because you have a large gap from the stop of the ring usage, 550 AD maybe, and then to the Viking Age, which is 300-400 years later.
Yeah.
There was one question over here. No? Then we'll move along. Bad example number 2, and this one was a hard one to create for me because I really don't want to. I don't want to say which of the jewelry makers that I find bad. I don't want to say who they are. But in general, I would say my biggest criticism towards the modern salesman are that the finish is way too good. It's actually something that I spoke to Mads Rode from Ask about. It's what we see among the archaeological evidence and what we see at the markets today. It doesn't work together. The casts are way too precise today. In the original designs, you would find mistakes within the knotworks. You don't ever see that today. One moment. Of course, you will also find finds from the Viking era that are very elaborately made. It does exist, but again, when I deal with, for instance, the Fæsted, I present finds within a triangle that shows everything up here is made by the workers, the workshops of the Viking kings, and everything that is made in that part of the triangle, the very top of it, is of course as good as what you can create today. But everything that we should see on ordinary Viking fighters as what we see in the graves is not nearly as good as what we are wearing today. So, when I'll return to you, Ellen, and I'll also return to you, next question. When you are out there, either creating your own stuff or you want to buy because it's fun to buy stuff, you should not take the stuff or the artifacts that are polish the best. I think you should go for not flawless works, because most of the finds that we find on the fields, they have a lot of mistakes in them. And I really think we should start when we present our scene towards audience, we should present the reality instead of presenting some sort of imagination. One moment, I'll just finish this one and then do a slide. Also, when buying stuff, as I said, and 85–90% of what you guys should be buying should be bronze. Pretty much all of that should be gilded. Furthermore, most of it should be covered in white metal on the back side of it. And it has a practical reason, because bronze will discolor your clothing. But when covered in white metal, it will protect your clothing. And gilding does the same. The final thing, maybe in this giant audience, one person among you guys, you should always look into the distribution, the amounts of what's found. But we have nothing in our scene that is decorated with yellow. Do you know what yellow is?
It's an oxidation of silver to make it black.
No, it's not really an oxidation. You create a new mass of silver that's simply just black, and you will create patterns with this black mass that you can add it to gold, you can add it to silver, and you can actually also add it in the patterns of bronze artifacts. It's quite common. We see lots of traces of it, but we don't see it in modern Viking. And it has a practical reason, I'm aware. It's poison as hell to create or work with. But when all of this war situation is done, maybe the traders from Eastern Europe and Ukraine and Russia will come back and start trading with us here again. They will do it, just so you know. So, I saw a lot of questions. No, start it up.
Yeah, but when you take the amount of jewelry, I think every Viking should think of that person. If you take yourself and go back to the Viking age, what would I be doing? And then move from there and say like, okay, if I'm a small homestead owner, how much would I have on me?
Yeah.
Have I been on raiding? Could I be lucky and all of that? And put that in sense with the jewelry, as you were saying, so it makes sense, so you look authentic because it's your person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also think you should try to use jewelry according to your weapons, maybe. If you fight with a sword, you're more wealthy than the one fighting with the axe.
Mm-hmm.
So please try to connect the dots in the back.
What do you think is the reason for the unpolished things? Is it the priority of different traders? Some are very skilled, some are not so skilled, or is it that it's everyday workers who makes...
In modern Viking?
No, in the...
It's simple. It's because you will have an elite that will wear artifacts made by the king's workshops. And then, as everything else in the Viking era, it starts in the top of the society, and then it goes out in branches, and it just gets worse and worse, really.
But is it lack of skill, or is it just we need to produce a lot really fast?
Bit of both, I think. Yeah.
Will you share some examples of what you mean are stuff that are really fast? I think it's different. It's difficult maybe for me, we're not an expert in jewelry, to go and see what is actually Viking age poorly cast, okay, and what is just a cheap piece of metal.
I would like to do so in Messenger or something like that. The thing is, I don't want to.
I have some I can send you.
The thing is, I see this as being filmed. It's okay. I don't want to do bad commercials for any of the traders. If that's okay. So I've actually decided not to use.
I understand that. It's also like to say what's poorly cast. Isn't that like I maybe buy something which is very cheaply made somewhere?
To you, it would look like cheaply made. I would say I only buy stuff from Poland. It's not because it's bad work. They are the first ones. They are first movers within the new designs or the new interpretations of lines. but they also do the casts in the right alloy of bronze, for instance. So they try to push the scene, and they do not have the tendency to polish everything and make these insanely sharp casts. I like the insanely sharp cast. It's not like that. I enjoy the craftsmanship. That's not the issue. It's just not like what you would see back then. In the way back.
I was just thinking, you mentioned different precious metals that go through the bone. What about brass?
Yes, we do. But it's a part of the copper alloy system. So when I say bronze, it's copper alloys in general.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then word was Thalia site. Thalia. 11th century Central Europe. Thalia, Heinrich the
I'm not certain we have a Danish word for it now.
Okay. So in 11th century Central Europe, I read a book about that time, and I make first of all two different for jewelry. First made in Byzance or Egypt around that, and then homemade.
Yeah.
And if you have if you are on the king or on the top of the society, you buy your jewelry from Byzance.
Yeah.
And the homemade jewelry is always
Shittier.
yeah. I have some pictures at home that
In Denmark, I can't say for all of Scandinavia because we're specialists within the Danish finds. In Denmark, I would say the amount of Byzantine finds are still below 20. Still below. We have coins as well, but the earrings with enamel and stuff, it's not much. It's not much, and it's always late. A lot of it is later than the Viking. Yeah. Last question, because we have to move on. Oh, sorry. Så der, så får Nikolaj.
It's a quick one. I don't know if it's mainly about metal, but how about amber and glass beads?
I'll be moving on to that.
Yeah.
Okay, Sahin.
So, would you, in your opinion, be in that you would sell, would you have farms to get like I don't know, a clump or a lump of farms, and then I would go home and I would spend all winter doing shit?
No, it's cast in this. It's casts. The casts, or how to say, the molds are found in the cities.
Okay.
So it's
So it
produced
would
with.
be from there that you
Yeah.
would go in and you would
Yeah. So instead of shaming all the craftsmen, I want to tell you what to do. When I started thinking about how to create this, my idea was pretty much simply just to shame all of the craftsmen into doing what I want them to do, but that seems not to be the approach. So I want to tell you what I'm doing, and the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing is that we had a burglary in my house 5 or 6 years ago. They stole all of my silver. And then I came to revise what to do, and then I spoke to Klaus, and Klaus asked me to do a presentation in technique about how I restarted my process really. So what I'm doing, and I know many people are doing this now, I started copying Grave 944 from Birka. Yeah? Birka is good because Birka has, not you Birka. We all know Birka and the real Birka. And that is because many of the Viking finds that we find interesting in our scene is actually found there. It's not because they are uniquely found there, it's just always present at Birka. So it's a good place to start really. What I realized when starting this is there are no jewelry in that grave. It's one of the richest graves that are present at Birka, but we find almost no jewelry. I know we found a ring needle pin, ring pin, yeah. But it's not a jewelry. It has a practical reason for wearing it. If you have a belt, okay, it's practical as well. So it seems like every time I want to buy new stuff, it has a practical reason for my future gear. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What I also realized was when I wanted new copies made, it would be better for me, partly because of my finances, to do it in the original alloy. That would be bronze. Instead of always having everything remade in silver because it's easy in what we're doing today. You can always find everything in silver. So I decided simply just to do everything as close to the original as possible. It was not cheap, but it was cheaper than doing everything in silver or gold. So what I really want to say with this slide is, based on the grave situation, if you are to do something simple, pick a grave and simply just copy the goods in it. That should represent one person who was living in the Viking era. And why not represent that one person? Make him or her alive again by wearing the same amounts of silver or bronze especially, but wearing the same artifacts as she did back then. Yeah? And then please remember, all men, jewelry has a practical reason for wearing it. I don't want to see you wearing necklaces and stuff anymore. This one is, yeah, oh. We have more proof. Yeah, as we do find, for instance, Fyrkat grave 14 feet for 4. We have it's actually a toe ring, but we will wear them as finger rings today.
Very small.
But it's present. It's present. While in the male grave, I simply don't know one grave where you would find an arm ring, for instance, or a finger ring. But you will find it in the female graves. Furthermore, you will find the turquoise brooches. You will find these chains, bead chains, and within them you will find other pieces of jewelry. So it's a thing within the female scene. It's not a thing within the male scene. Sure.
So you could actually say that the jewelry thing for males are the same as today, not in the Viking scene, but in modern man, it's a watch.
Yeah, it has a practical reason for many men at least.
Another thing was enamel.
Yeah. I'll come back to enamel. All right. Yeah.
Is there any difference between the crudeness and polishness of men's versus women's jewelry, do you think? Because I'm just wondering if for men it's practical, it's maybe more likely that it's crudely cast and it's got a reason. Vice versa, if you're creating something for the beauty of it, then maybe you take more time, or no, there's no...
I would say no, because you got some very ugly. So it's no, it's not. I think it's a matter of finances for the buyer back then as well.
Do we know if there's any difference on the choices of jewelry based on age between a young man and an old man, or a child, or
what you would wear? In general, male, no jewelry. But for children, you would sometimes find one glass bead, maybe two, maybe a bit more. We don't know, because it's hard to tell the gender in kids when they are dead. And skeletons. So, no, I've never seen any studies on this, because the thing with this DNA testing thing on the dead bodies is quite new. So I'm quite certain that if I say something now, I'll be fucked later.
I hope back you will find an easy system catalog with graves.
Yes.
But you're fit, I see. Yeah. So you want to do Western Scandinavia, maybe Hedeby, am I right? Then you simply just search for Hedeby grave catalog. Done. It's published. All of the graves at Hedeby are published. It's German. And it's Silke Eisenschmidt and Uta Arends who published it. I can send you a link. Yeah. Sidste spørgsmål til den her. Vi har fandme mange slides endnu.
Yeah, the horns that you were talking about, how would they be then? Would you, why would you make? Would you be like a bank deposit?
I'm not sure what you're asking.
$1,000.
It can be because of war, it's a bank deposit. It can be a scrap metal deposit because the owner is split, so he simply just hides everything he owns until he needs it. And it can be a religious deposit. I'll move on. So when you're doing this, decide for one grave. Then when deciding for that one grave, you need to realize the dating of the grave. So if you are in the situation, let's say most of you guys will most likely be between 850 and 950 AD, that's Bohrer style. Yes? It's a good style for you guys. Because it's the style that you will find most artifacts made in, especially bronzes. So the thing is, I want you guys to know, depending on what you want to represent, you can't wear all of these styles. If you are a late Hyderabad warrior, let's say early 11th century, you can't wear Bohrer style because it would make you look ridiculous in my eyes. Yeah? It's details, but today is about details. So you should be aware of these styles, and it's quite simple. I would have loved to use a more specific one, but this is right now the best sheet showing the given styles. So please be aware of what you're wearing. You might also want to see this style, Unit style. I'll show you one fibula in the type later on, because there are two things that I would like you also stop wearing immediately. And I would especially like you to stop wearing this specific style, Unit style. So what should we see more of? Personally, I would like to see way more enamel in our scene at the moment. It's not hard to get your hands on. Many of the traders today are actually selling it, but not many of you guys will wear it. I don't know why, because it looks good, it's colorful, it has everything within it that we find when we see the detective finds. I would say in a good Viking field, when they do their surveys, I see a lot of crap finds, I have to say. About 1%, and that is actually quite high if I am to do these scales of the amount of every find type. 1% is these enamel type fibulas. It's quite a lot. Maybe 1% in my area. So it's for the Danish Viking material. This is quite a lot in my mind. This can change quite rapidly. So, but at the moment, I would say 1% of the finds in a good Viking age field. What? Oh, yeah, you see them in the contemporary literature. Actually not, but they are just present at the field when we excavate. Yeah. So that's a different situation, correct? Well, one moment, I'll just finish this. What I also would like you all to wear is the gilded stuff. This is very elaborate, I know, but this is how it should look. This is actually, it's quite well carved. So it's a bad example in that perspective, but that's also one of the very high elite pieces. So it should be well carved. But the thing is, what I wanted to show is, it's gilded. This is actually gilded silver. So even silver, if you are to wear that, if you are to buy or use your money on silver, please gild it. Yeah. Let's take some questions to this. Yeah?
Say they have a practical use, and then what is the practical use?
This is, I would assume, for clothing in the neck. Yeah.
Instead of buttons?
Instead of what?
Buttons?
You actually don't have buttons in Denmark at the moment.
So that would be the button.
That would be the button, yeah. Fibula is a sikkerhedsnål. Yeah. One moment. Yeah, exactly. This is the same, it's just larger. And that would maybe being for your cloak. Is it called cloak? Carpet? Yeah. Sure.
Is it mostly those who can't put them on, or because of the kind of jewelry, or kind of a gold one?
We do find other enamel pieces, so it's actually quite common. But when it's not fibulous, it's something that's related to the early church. So it seems. Yeah. Second. 11th century belt buckles can have enamel. Yeah. Yes. Any other questions? Then I want to show you what I really want to see you guys start wearing. I think actually, Ellen, you did this for me. Yes. Instead of arm rings, please start wearing, we call them manchetter in Danish. I actually don't know the English term.
Cuffs.
Cuffs. Thank you. This one is from the Marminggrave. It has brocade, silver and gold, woven bands. Is that the right term?
Yeah, it's probably black insects.
So you see, I don't know everything. I don't know.
You could just ask me about that.
That's why I have all been.
And this is for the Ulfenia people as well. It's silk. It's actually silk. So I really want to compliment, for instance, Ulfenia for really developing everything you're doing. Now you need to embrace silk. Then we have something like this. It's called a carpetbon in Danish. Again, I don't know the English term. It would sit when clothing your cloak. So the fibula here, it would simply just dangle. It would be pretty and annoying to wear.
Isn't that just one out of many interpretations of the foundation?
And at the moment, it's one out of two. It's true. It's just been reinterpreted, but we also actually see it used like that on contemporary drawings.
And the broken is terrible.
Yeah, it is. So instead of always using your money on arm rings, pieces of silver, why not use them on stuff like this? It's the same amount of money, and it actually looks more authentic. And in my mind, it looks better.
Do you have a picture of how that would be, how it would feel, how it would be seen? Do you have an example of that?
Not today, but the cuffs, they would sit around your wrists.
Of course, yeah.
And that one, yes, I'll send you a drawing later. I'm not. Yeah. I'll take one here. Yeah. Who's the one? Yeah, man. One question in front.
Yeah, would you also see that in the warrior area? That kind of.
Maybe not when fighting.
No.
But actually, the grave that this was found in is thought to be a warrior's grave, an equestrian grave. Yeah.
Do you have any other finds other than money on the cups?
No. Not as well preserved, but we do find the brocades.
There's fragments, like not attached to solely to different fragments of them.
Okay.
Do they appear in like material art, like pictures and stuff?
It may. It's sometimes hard to see, yeah. But at least the carpetbon, that's seen in the art. Sure. I'll try. Yeah.
Do you see the brocade on the lower hem of the tunics?
Did you hear that? Okay. He's asking where these pieces of brocade are used on the clothing, and you're asking especially on the lower parts. I would say no.
We have found very few pieces broken in Denmark. We have a lot of the
Yeah.
There's only small pieces of them. Only the big jackets and more or less.
We only have one question left. I'll take it here.
Well, it makes good sense to push this because it's an easy upgrade to a piece of kit you already have.
Yeah.
You just put on cuffs and then you have upgraded your normal clothing to arty clothing.
Exactly. We'll move along because I still have a lot to do. This one is the next slide is for Ulfenia because I want you guys to be inspired. Next time you buy stuff for clothing, you should be buying stuff like this. This is part of my new jacket. The silver, I know it's a big piece of silver, but we will cut it into pieces, because when we do find silk in Denmark, it's cut into very narrow strips. So, is it called strips? Yeah. And I did say before, no, we don't have buttons in Denmark. That seems to be true. At some point we will find them. But at Birka, we do have buttons. They seem to be imports from the Middle Eastern area. And then this is a very neat example of Birka brocade. So please, Wolfenia, when you buy stuff, more silk. Question in the back.
Why do you push for silver? Isn't it still an uncommon material? Silk, why do you push for silver?
It's because it's actually found in quite a lot of graves. Yeah. When textile is present, and it's not that often, I have to admit, it's quite a high percentage of silver that we do find. So fuck. Yeah, it may be a preservation issue. Yeah. You only have 10 minutes and 15 slides. I don't know. We do. I really want to go to my final 4 slides because those are what I want to show you. We had a question about other materials for your artifacts. Bone is one thing. This is actually bone. It's just colored by bronze. It will make it green if you want it to look something like something else than bone. And the other thing is, I would really like to see more iron. When we do look at the graves, for instance, from here, from the Heidelberg, it's mostly or often it's iron fittings. I'm quite certain you can't have any questions on that. Okay. Then I want to move along to the good examples. I've decided there are a lot of good examples in our scene these days, so I actually just picked for friends. So I asked Mikkel and Sandra from Ask if I could use this photo, and it's actually because especially Sandra is looking good at it. Mikkel is good as well. We can discuss some parts of it, but what's fun is actually they decided for 2 graves at Heidelberg. I can't recall which one. I think Sandra is grave 316, and Mikkel has just taken the sword and then he's made a generic set of clothing. But in my mind, this looked good. So when you want to do stuff like that, again, don't use jewelry, but instead upgrade your knives. This is silver wrapping. Bands, maybe, yeah. Mads Rode from Ask can create this if you really want to buy it today. I'm certain he has one or something. But it's something that we should start seeing more of. Any questions on that? Let's take a question on these examples at the end. There are 4. Then we have some good Eastern examples. Jesper, are you in here? Okay, he's drunk. This is actually photos shot for the new Rus exhibition at Moskva. We wanted to show the most present interpretations of clothing. So we decided for, I'm not certain that I say this in the right way, but scope. Yeah, it's where we actually only see this part of it. But the fun thing is these narrow strips of silk and the button, how they are attached. It's quite a simple jacket. The rest of it is just Eastern, generic Eastern wear. Josephine is actually some sort of a mix, but she's mostly wearing artifacts from Kiev. Silk and, how do you say, beads? It's not beads, it's perler. Pearls from the ocean. Yeah. So that's actually when you are very high elite, pearls is a thing you should start thinking about, especially females. I'm not certain that I've ever seen any examples on pearls used within the male sets of clothing.
You can always find Viborg Museum, they have like a full set of like grandmother pearl necklace stuff.
Moving on. Then, as I said, I was recreating grave 944 from Birka, and then this dickhead came around, and he did a way better job than me. This is Max from Sweden. I think most of you guys know him because he's wearing a silly hat most of the time. It's like a cone.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, Max is very good at interpreting these finds. I don't know anyone at the moment who's better than him. And his force seems to be that he can read and speak Russian. So he gets a lot of help from the Russian reenactment scene, and they are delivering state-of-the-art interpretations at the moment. So he is state-of-the-art Birka grave at the moment. The thing about this specific suit is it may be a suit that was made for the burial. That's also a thing you want to consider when deciding for a grave. I know it's not easy, but then again, when creating a suit for a grave, I'm pretty certain you would create something that looked like something you would wear in your ordinary life, instead of just creating new stuff. Does that make sense? And then, because Max did that to me, I decided to go Western Elite. So we had this made, Sophia and me from Shuadai, Russian girl.
That guy.
Huh? He's nice. I think he looks nice. And I've actually tried to assemble a Western part of Viking era or Viking age society nobleman. It's silk. The silk is made from pictorial evidence, contemporary. We had it woven, I don't know where, but Russia maybe. And we have fur, because we actually do see amounts of fur in the graves. And then I have the pin. And then I have a belt, I have a sword, and then I'm using the cuff. That's it.
Hvorfor har du nålen opad?
Det ved jeg sgu da ikke.
Nå.
It's actually something that the question is, why am I wearing the needle upwards? And I discovered when I was sitting down, I was stabbing myself. So that was actually my main reason.
Okay. Why don't you stab yourself?
Huh? No, but that's actually, I took the use of the cape or the cloak on one arm. I took that from the image of Knut the Great. Canute the Great. So it's seen there. It's we did that based on that illustration, really. Huh? Second.
Sources,
Yes, it is, but it's also found with the needle down in graves.
Oh.
So, one question.
because they're not surmounting the hem, they are just.
You simply pull them.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Would you also wear them if they're not that high status as the mammoth ones? Would you just wear cuffs that are not as fancy?
Yes, I would assume so, because all fashions that start at the elite, as I said, like silver, like jewelry, it will flow downwards at some point. So yes, I think it will also flow downwards to the non-elite. Yeah. So, I hoped when we browsed through these good examples that you saw almost no jewelry on the men. It's okay for the females. As I said, when you guys want to use this, not silver, but when you want to use your bronzes or whatever, it should be having a practical reason for the usage. Did that make sense? Yeah. I really want to see more specially woven textiles, because when we find textiles in the graves, and this is not only the silks, but when we do find textiles, it's actually quite often as they have specific patterns. You will have patterns, not just like these squares and stuff that we find in our present day Viking clothing. You'll find all sorts of nicely looking patterns. You can check Vilehøj grave if you want to look at something very good. But it's found in all sorts of...
And even three-dimensional textures.
Yeah, it's very elaborate what you will see woven into the textile. And that is where you should put your money. That is those details instead of silver and gold, because it's not authentic. Vilehøj, yeah. So, and then I have two things that I would like you all to stop wearing from as today. There it is. bead rings, or how do you say, beard rings? Stop it. It's a Lord of the Rings thing in my mind. I don't know where it came from, but it didn't come from the Viking Age, that's for sure. So please stop. The other thing is, it's a detail, it's a minor details, and if you are doing a Viking persona from 1050 onwards, even though it's actually not Viking anymore, if you're not doing that, you should stop wearing Runes fibulas, because they are early medieval in the Danish terms. And that is not your fault, it's because we changed the amount of detailing about datings is changed all the time. So this was actually considered when I was studying something like 1000 AD, maybe 1025 AD onwards, which would mean it would be very late Viking. That is not the situation anymore. It actually seems it's more like a 12th century thing. Yeah? Okay, and we all started somewhere during Viking. This was me when I was young. I think I had hair. How much time do we have left? 1 minute. One question maybe. In the front.
Belts, how elaborate can you, all those belt studs you see in the environment? I see some people have the whole belt full of them, and then some have none.
It depends on what you want to show.
Okay, so
if you are Eastern Viking, Rus, or maybe even more East than that, then it's a thing. It's also a thing in Denmark. It's not published yet, but as the reason why I know this is because I'm doing the study. At the moment, we have 164 studs found within the Danish material. So it is a thing in Denmark, but it's not a silver thing again. It's bronze, and it's covered in other metals.
Okay.
What? Not much. No. I would say in general, I think we should show the common impression of as a Viking Age society. We will have one nobleman, maybe we will have two because we like this. But in general, I would say don't use Byzantine stuff. Daniel.
Would it be fair to say that most of us, if we wanted to make an impression of the real Viking Age as we interpret it now, most of us shouldn't have any kind of influence?
I would say yes. Yeah. And I know it sucks because we all want to look good, and I'm fully aware of this. I'm not saying toss all of your silver. I'm just saying bring it down a notch. God damn it. Yeah. Nej, vi er løgn. As the question is amber and glass beads, I would say for males, glass beads, no. I have one example, and that's it. For kids and for females, glass is fine. Amber beads, the same really, but amber beads are more rare. Then we have some amber pendants, but they are not, as far as I know, in Denmark at least, they are not found in the graves, so I can't say which gender they would relate to.
It's funny because there's so much of it in the north and the east as well. It's funny that you said it. You said it? Yeah.
I'm being told that we have to stop now, so I hope you enjoyed it, and when you go home... So when you go home to your groups, let them know, don't use silver.
Silver,